Welcome to the MaxBet Podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything gaming. I'm Landon Jones, here with Mike McKiskey. Let's get started. Okay, hi guys. Welcome back to the MaxBet Podcast. Studio downtown Las Vegas, Nevada.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. We're here.
How goes it, man?
It's hot. Back to the weather.
Fact. Just right straight to
what we didn't want to talk about.
No, it's fine, man. The weather's fine. So I drove yesterday from San Francisco to Vegas.
You're an idiot.
Right?
Why do you always drive? Why don't you fly?
I had 2 kids, man.
Is it tougher to fly?
It just gives you a lot more flexibility. So the nice part would be hour and a half, 2-hour flight, you're good. The problem is when one of those attitude bombs goes off on the plane, you are now instant asshole for 173 other people. And you don't want that, right? It's easier to just be your own instant asshole than trying to do it for a whole tube of people that are just trapped and they just death stare you.
I don't think too many people are going to death stare you.
Oh, they'll stare at me. They won't say anything usually, you know. And it's funny. Then my wife will get mad. She goes, dads get all the credit. So, like, if I stand up and I hold the crying crazy baby on a plane, people are like, oh, Dad, great job. Way to go. If she does it, it's like, Mom, get your shit together. Like, can't you figure out the kid? I'm like, yeah, it's true. Like, you start to notice, like, it's weird. Like, women get a lot more harsh on that thing. But, oh, man. But, so here's the funny. So this happens, right? So this is one of those potential advantages, though you don't know, maybe it doesn't happen if you're on a plane. So we're cruising, middle of the desert. My son is quiet, which is unusual. Sometimes he chats like the whole time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hear like a little gurgling noise, and then he looks and he goes, "Hey, someone threw up on me." I'm like, what? Like, someone did or you did? And my daughter's like, he threw up all over himself. So we got this like puke bomb kid in the back of the car. And we're just like, that is like the greatest response. Like somebody just immediately tried to blame it. There's only 4 of us in the van. The adults know it wasn't us, right? And then we get out. And so now we're in the middle of nowhere. It's completely just scorched earth. He looks and he goes, "Dad, can you put me in a bathtub?" And I go, "I want to, but we are 4 hours from bathtubs. You're just going to have to take like an Aquafina shower with all of our water bottles and then keep cranking." But so that was my life, man. So
that is the best response. Someone threw up on me. That was definitely not my fault.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "I don't know what happened, man. This all of a sudden I'm covered." So that was a fun adventure.
So we're talking about traveling with kids.
Yeah.
And my kid is my fur baby.
Yeah, the dog.
And so he gets to fly with me. He's a service dog.
Don't quote it in public, bro. They're going to start looking at you.
I don't care.
Okay.
So I was sitting in the bulkhead with my dog, and this 90-year-old lady sat next to me.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Don't worry, I love dogs.
Yeah.
All good." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Yeah. So I wake up from a nap. I was probably out for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And I look down and my dog is just licking this 90-year-old lady's ankle. And I look over at the lady and she's just smiling. I go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." She's like, "No, it's okay." And I was like, "It is not okay."
I haven't seen this much action in 2 decades.
Anyways, I don't know where that came from.
Well, it's fun. It's interesting.
You came from San Francisco,
Cheers
right?
to her. Yeah.
On your car trip?
I did.
How long of a drive is that?
Straight shot, it's like 8.5. But when you have kids, ended up being a little over 10. So we'd stop, grab food, let them run.
Yeah, it's too long.
Dude, you know what we started figuring? So I'm laughing because we would go and use the bathroom before we leave, and they would, and then we 45 minutes in, and you're going, "You gotta go again." I'm like, what the hell? So I started realizing like they were drinking water, and then they went to the bathroom. So there's like a ratio. So we felt like I was policing them, going, "Yo, you just went to the bathroom. You can't drink water for another hour. Then you can drink water because you're going to pee in 45 minutes. I was trying to stop every 2 hours. So I was like, if only there was an algorithm that could tell me how much water and how frequently so that the kids would like only go on schedule. But, man, we probably stopped 12 times just in the middle of the desert to go, "Hey, one kid or another, get out."
That could be an app. I wish I had that app in college. You break the seal from drinking.
Yeah,
you're like, "Well, I can have another drink now."
I've had 6 Coors Lights. When am I going to have to leave the room?
That's pretty funny.
But you won't need it anymore, man. Hearing that you're off the sauce.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Am I outing you? Sorry, I didn't know.
No, you're good. No, I quit drinking.
No,
completely.
Forever.
Forever.
Like this is your new deal.
I'm done.
Got it. Okay.
I'm done.
What motivated? I mean, you haven't had any like blackout nights where you lost 50 grand or something. So like, what motivated? Just good feelings, or why now? Why do it?
Not that I mean, look, I feel better. I feel more focused.
Solid,
We
yeah.
got a lot going on.
Yeah,
I'm doing
for sure.
AGS, podcast, so many things happening. So for me, it's focus and yeah.
Nice.
But I'm still doing things, right? Like the other day, I went down to my local PTs, had a couple club sodas and lemons, and played video poker. Everybody thought I was like crazy.
Like, who's this guy not drinking, just hammering max bet dollar video poker at the bar?
So it's all good, man. Who do we have today?
We're talking to Andrew Crowe.
Cool.
So Andrew Crowe is the senior vice president of biz dev for Sightline.
Big title.
Big title, big company. I mean, Sightline's kind of
company.
at the front of everything. I mean, now, Jonathan Michael's over there. I mean, obviously they just did a big, I think there's like a $500 million either buyout or investment at that number. So they did a huge,
peanuts.
Couple peanuts by more than one dipsy doodle, I'll tell you that much. And then they, so they do all that. And so then they just got another $100 million investment from the owner of the Knights. So I immediately paid attention because he's a billionaire and he owns my favorite hockey team. So that worked out well. And so then more relevant, I think, to what they're doing and what they're looking at here is they're going to be first integrated resort at Resorts World here in Vegas.
It's huge.
And so they're going to have cashless across the resort. So like you can still use cash and still bring, obviously, if you're comfortable with money, fine. But like if you want to sign up and do cashless, that's going to be from launch. So I'm pretty sure we'll have to ask him, but I'm pretty sure that's the first time that's ever been done.
That's great. And we just interviewed John Akers, who pretty much invented player tracking. And now we're going into like the new evolution of what player tracking looks like. And pretty excited, man.
The next thing, it'll be interesting to see kind of what goes down and how it all keeps moving.
Well, let's bring him on in. Well, cool. So you're coming to us from Sightline.
Sightline Payments.
And for those of you that don't know Sightline, I can't imagine a lot of people
Who doesn't
listening.
know Sightline at this
You
point?
would be surprised. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that
That's
listen
fair. That's fair.
in Europe, and
Maybe
so maybe give like a little background on
We should have T-shirts made, maybe.
who's. I mean, I'll wear it.
That's it.
Can I have one?
That's good.
We always need
Free
something new to wear for the
advertising.
show, so that's good. So yeah, I guess I didn't even think of that. But Sightline Payments, what's the 1 minute overview on what's
Let's do that. We're a dynamic fintech company that is purpose-built and staffed from the outset to focus on gaming. So it's bringing payments alive across the gaming ecosystem and help modernizing the gaming floor. So that affects everything from digital, brick and mortar, slot machines, tables, and then even working across the non-gaming components of any integrated casino resort, which is actually particularly important to the casinos. It's beyond just the gaming revenue. This is an all-encompassing payment solution that spans the entire breadth of the casino operation.
It makes sense. I mean, I know, and we'll get into some other things here in a second, but like that to me by itself makes sense because we feels like we've been talking about cashless in general since this podcast started over a year ago.
Yeah.
And you're going, it only makes sense if I could do it all. Yeah. Like if I can win my money on the machine and then go buy dinner, it makes sense. If I can win my money on my machine and go, all right, well, I guess I got to hold that till the next time I want to gamble. It makes less sense, right? Yeah. It's less exciting. So to be able to, like you said, the whole integrated resort, or be able to say, look, I want to go to the show. Bang, here's $200 so I can buy tickets, or whatever that experience you crave is. Makes a lot of sense.
And if you think about how you live your everyday life, everything's on the mobile device now. So why should gaming be any different? The gaming floor, people are going to want to interact with the machines the exact same way they do across the rest of their payment life.
100%.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And they say the most expensive part of running a casino is the movement of money.
The movement of money. It's the cash handling.
This is a very important aspect within the gaming business. So if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, the moving of money, the converting of chips back into cash, the ticket cashing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It just adds extra friction and extra time to the experience across the board.
That's fascinating. So you're one of the senior executives at Sightline now, and I was just looking at your history, and it's like, man, you've been in payments since obviously prior to digital payments, I would imagine, right? So, and that's a big evolution, but how'd you get into the gaming side? So it looks like a lot of early days, names you'd know, JP Morgan, MasterCard, traditional payments. And then somewhere now you're in the casino space. So how'd that jump happen?
So even through those early stages, I was always focused on emerging markets. What's new and what's next? How do we take the technology as it exists and apply it elsewhere? And gaming came about. So I've been on the gaming side of payments for probably about 12 years now.
Wow.
And that was my introduction to GTech at the time, which, as you know, is now IGT. So they were trying to figure out how payments come alive in the lottery systems. They had vendors to support it, but they had no one on staff that knew payments. So basically they said, we need you for payments and we will teach you lottery and gaming. And it's been awesome. I have not looked back. So that extended from brick and mortar lottery into digital lottery, and then supporting iGaming and whatnot as that all came to be as well.
Nice.
And then I joined WorldPay Gaming. So I went from kind of being on the technology side to actually getting embedded with the solutions providers for payment processing. And that turned to more facing towards the regulators and then facing towards each new market to say, how do we solve for and open all of those new markets? Joined Sightline formally about 8 months ago, but these are all folks that I've worked with and for in the past. Sightline was a client while at WorldPay Gaming. And as I said at the outset, this team, this company, the core product, which is the Play Plus solution, all of these are intentionally built and designed specifically for the unique world that is our awesome world of gaming.
Do you guys see, well, I'm guessing that one of your biggest hurdles in the payment processing systems is dealing with, the red line tapes between the government, but because I'm assuming a lot of this technology that hasn't even been implemented yet we've had it developed for 10, 15 years.
That's a critical part of this. And one of the ironies, or one of the benefits, which is ironic in these conversations, though, gaming is highly regulated, banking is highly regulated as well. So we're actually bringing together two highly regulated industries. And part of each new jurisdictions that open, the earlier that we can get in, the better with the regulators. And it isn't about selling, it's about educating.
Sure.
Because you're right, the regs typically don't even contemplate what we're thinking about now. It's based on technology and experiences that are decades old. So it's usually a very fantastic, dynamic two-way street with each of the sets of state regulators to help them understand how payments work, so they can be much more thoughtful in how they craft their regulations and kind of dispel myths and concerns that they have.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
that.
is it just like establishing trust in this new kind of world, or what are some of the main top 2 or 3 things you're educating and you feel like this is a common theme across all these markets?
Yeah, so first again is just the general knowledge of payments, how payments work. The second usually comes up early, and it's very critical in everything we do, is responsible gaming.
Sure. Yeah.
So a lot of folks have an instant reaction to any kind of modernization of the gaming floor to say, oh, you're going to encourage, you may be encouraging irresponsible gaming. The irony in this case is you're taking what was traditionally cash anonymous play and you're now digitizing it. So the amount of knowledge and understanding you have about actual player behavior is astronomically greater than what they have today. And then similarly, your ability to put controls, if necessary, in place, but do so based on actual knowledge and data that you see versus.
Yeah, it's weird to me. I agree with you. Because I listen to that and I go, I would think cashless and this digital is more responsible, because you're saying, look, let's say I said self-assigned or however you wanted to identify and say, I'm only willing to lose $500 today. Digital, you stop the clock. You go, have $500, you're done, right? You did it. Whereas in the other world, I might say to the casino, I only want to lose $500, but they don't know about the 20 rolls of quarters I snuck in or the cash I found on the mattress. Oh, by the way, then I did cashless, so I might be betting 1,000, but no one knows because they can only see half of it, right? So here, if it's all cashless, seems like you'd be more responsible. And I mean, maybe, who knows?
You go to the cash desk with a roll of quarters and be like, I would like to cash these in. Please.
Don't ask me my name. Just give me Tito. Yeah.
It's $50, sir.
Yeah.
What is the likelihood, and Jonathan Michaels might not love this question, or maybe he'd be the better person to ask. He's a friend of the show, but what is the likelihood? So you have this data, right? You're saying that it's more responsible with the digital currency. What is the likelihood when you capture that data, if you assume someone has a gambling problem, that either the operator will approach that person to have a conversation? I mean, where's the red line there? Have you guys talked about that?
We have, and there's always, and this goes back to conversations with the lotteries as well, there's a real balance between your commercial aspirations and public policy interests of trying to find that balance. The challenge with a lot of the kind of superficial approaches to responsible gaming is you don't know what an individual's ability to pay is, or to cover it. But there's actually, when you digitize, there's 3 layers to controls. On the operating platform, be it mobile sportsbook or for brick and mortar, you can set daily limits on funding or wagers. In the digital platforms, you can set time limits or reminders after a period of time that you've been playing this long and maybe take a break. We also set limits on our product to say you can only load into Play Plus X dollars a day, Y dollars a week. And in either scenario, the bettor can always set lower limits than either the operator or we or the regulator has set. They can set their own lower limits. You can set
before we start,
something within
the guideline.
Yeah, something within the framework, as long as it's lower than the standard limit. You can set a lower limit, and then there's typically a cooling off period, for example. So you can't lower a limit and then say, oh, I regret that, and raise it right away. You have to wait 24 hours at least before it's reset.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then the last piece that you never think about is the financial instrument from which the money came to begin with.
Like the checking account.
Your checking account, or your credit card, or your debit card. Your bank knows everything about you. Right. They know your credit quality. So they're actually making an informed decision as the bank that's behind you on that transaction to begin with. They're not just looking at what's your open to buy on a credit card. They're also saying, I know this is a gaming transaction. It's higher risk. Does this transaction make sense? So you have a lot more controls and a lot more eyeballs on it, and a lot more informed eyeballs on it than you do in the traditional brick and mortar cash world.
Yeah, and let's
wild.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like because we've been talking about this world of cashless, I have I think a fairly strong understanding, but I'm probably way off. So let's start at the beginning. So like the flow of $1 to the machine.
Oh, perfect.
So you say, hey, we're starting the checking account. Let's just assume we're not doing a credit card transaction for now. That money flows from my checking because I want it to go into the casino to where? Now, in the cashless world, it goes into an account at the casino that you guys technology.
So I'll take a half step even before then. So our core solution, as I said, is Play Plus. So this is an account opened for the individual player.
Okay, almost like a sports betting account.
It's even more, it's a financially regulated banking product. So it is an actual bank account for the consumer. Money's held at the bank. It's FDIC insured for the player. So, but it's not separate from the operator. So our solution, from everything from enrollment and funding and everything I'm about to describe, is actually embedded in the operator's app.
Interesting.
So if you're with the FanDuel app online, it's embedded in that, or if you're at brick and mortar with the Resorts World solution, everything I'm about to describe is actually embedded in that UI, UX on the mobile app itself. Okay. So player signs up and is for loyalty in brick and mortar. They've got a loyalty account. They can immediately open a Play Plus account linked to that loyalty account. Any of the information that was already corrected in loyalty is pre-populated. At a minimum, we're going to need name, address, date of birth, and SOCH. So there's a couple reasons for that. The main one being we actually do a full KYC, or know your customer. We validate the identity and the age of the player, so that there's that extra level. And it's the same standard that a FanDuel would do for the internet operation. That account is open in real time. And now I can fund it with my personal debit card, move money from my checking account with my debit card. We have a bank transfer solution that we do through Trustly, so it's a direct transfer from my bank account. We also support PayPal, and we're adding a whole bunch of other funding options along the way.
Crypto?
Crypto, not yet. We love crypto and love the. Well, see, there's always comes up.
There.
Yeah, I think until it becomes more broadly, I love the solution and love blockchain in particular, but until crypto has a much more there's more of a regulatory regime for it that would apply to the gaming side. We will follow on our side.
I can only imagine in that regard, like if you're saying, hey, these old school financial institutions are leery of casinos to begin with. When you go, hey, casino, cashless, crypto, they're like, get out of here. We're not even talking to you anymore.
Nope.
You're pushing it too far, Lando. Yeah, no, that's funny. But okay, so
I fund that account in real time.
So now your money went from, let's just say, Bank of America to the Play Plus Resorts World ecosystem.
You got it, exactly. It's in the Resorts World branded Play Plus account. Money held by a bank for the player. We administer the program. I can now, with that app, step up to a slot machine. If I have an app, if I've got an Apple phone, I can step up and say, I want to push $20 onto that slot machine. And the phone talks to the slot machine. Everything connects on the back end through us, and we ultimately move the funds onto the slot meter.
So you could do that right now.
I could do that right now.
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic.
And we are integrated to do so. We are integrated with a CMS provider. So in the case of Resorts World, that'll be Konami. Yeah.
So next question, just right off of that, right there. So I move money into the machine. What if I'm not a carded player and I don't want to be carded?
So in this case, the likely adopters of this and the design of the product is for the carded player. It's intended to be linked to loyalty.
100% carded play automatically by using
yes.
Well, you
digital wallet.
You get 100% of the cashless play is quote unquote carded because they would know everything about you. They just did the verification on who you were, right? So yeah, that makes sense.
It's pretty crazy though.
Yeah, so it's not designed
It's great
for
if you're
the consumer that's the hardcore anonymous cash player is not the likely adopter. So to make it ultimately the best experience for those that are the likely adopters, it's designed this way, and it's linked to first that you have a loyalty account with the casino.
The only reason I ask is there are players out there that A, don't want to be tracked, or 2, are superstitious, right? They think that once they know that
He won too much.
Landon
Now
Jones is up, he's like, no, we gotta make
Squeeze
that
him. Yeah,
squeeze
exactly.
him a little bit more.
That's funny.
Yeah, we all have the buddy with the flip phone. He is not the target market for this either. So it's going to be.
He's also the buddy that can get you questionable goods. So
That's
you
it.
never know exactly how that's going to go. So, okay, so now it's in the thing, and I can gamble with it, right? So the 20 goes in. Hopefully, let's just say 40 comes back. I got money in the account. Now that same app, is that how I pay for dinner?
Correct. Through the same app, first of all, on the slot machine, I'm going to cash out, and it's going to push it back to your Play Plus account.
Interesting. And I remember, so Sightline was instrumental in launching New Jersey gaming online. I remember back then I was working Bally Interactive and things, and I had the account. I don't know if it's still active. I haven't used it in years, but like it was the Play Plus card for Golden Nugget, and it was like, here's your card. So basically, in the past, it was your money's in your account, but you can spend it. He's got it on.
Yep.
You can spend it at like the gas station or whatever. Just swipe this like it's a regular, I don't know if it's a Discover card, some sort of credit card.
What is it? Can I see it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is that's the Barstool
That's
one.
the Barstool. Nice, bud.
No free advertisement.
Exactly.
Yeah. And all you show is Barstool. Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I want to cover his numbers out
Oh,
there.
I see what you mean. Yeah. They got
That's a
rated.
good call. Exactly.
It's smart.
It's not mine, so we're safe. You
That's
can do whatever you want.
That's
Yeah,
the test
exactly.
card. No, they're hacking it. So is that still so? And we'll talk about Resorts World in just a minute. But like, and now that you're in the 2021 deployment, is that still required, or is it all now digital?
Yeah, so I'll take you through the full
Yeah,
ecosystem,
please.
and then we'll talk about
Yeah,
non-gaming
perfect.
as well. So I've got a single Play Plus account. The future state, or the omnichannel solution for an operator who has mobile sportsbook and slots and table games, we're already integrated to all of those platforms. So a single Play Plus account can be used to push money in real time across any channel, any vertical, in real time. So on the slot machine back, you can step over and buy into a card game. You can color up and cash out at the tables. The money's back in there. Again, you could immediately switch to mobile sportsbook. Again, wagers in, winnings out, all in real time. And the money is all coming back into that Play Plus account. And the card is just an access device to it. So once money is in the Play Plus account, not only does that funding experience happen across the gaming ecosystem, you can use it across the entire property for non-gaming purchases, because connected to that Play Plus account is a debit card.
Got it.
So any point of sale that accepts debit card today will immediately accept either the physical plastic. We do issue the consumer a MasterCard or Discover branded prepaid card that they can
Got it.
use, or more importantly, you load it into Google Pay, Apple Pay, et cetera, and it becomes a non-card transaction.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
And you will see in the Resorts Wallet solution, Resorts World solution, there's even a component within that same mobile app where you can present a barcode on it. Use the same mobile app, forget card, forget Apple Pay, and you can scan that mobile app at a retail location on property for your non-wagering transactions.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, you know what would interest me, and I'm here just shooting ideas from the hip, but as like a player, you get your players' points. And
Yep.
say I'm in San Diego, right? And I'm by the Padres Stadium, and your apps usually track like geofence. They know where you are if you want them to.
If you allow
right?
them
if
to,
you
yep.
allow them to. So say I'm a player and I'm a Circa player, for instance. Or no, we'll say Resorts
Resorts
World, because
World,
you
yes.
guys are using
Keep it in
Resorts
brand,
World.
man.
Keep
Yep.
it in brand. Keep it in brand. No free advertisement. And I walk by the Padres Stadium. It's like, hey, you're a big player. Like, would you like Padres tickets right now? Is that a possibility? in the
100%.
future?
And I mentioned being able to use it on property. Since this is actually a debit card and it's loaded into Apple Pay,
go
Google
anywhere.
Pay,
Yeah.
that means you can go anywhere around the world where debit
Yeah.
cards are accepted.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So the app is really, I don't want to say in-house, but a little bit in-house.
Yeah.
Or Google Pay, you can switch it over
Yeah.
and pay with that online. But then if you're walking in, you're going, I'm at Target, I want to buy a few things, bang, you use the card. Okay, so I'm starting to understand it.
And the casinos could do cross-branding promotions with
That's
people
what
off
MLB
I'm
property as
saying.
well.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where
yeah.
my mind just went explosion.
And this
Yeah.
card carries their brand. So there's
Yeah.
a key marketing component to this, meaning
Yeah.
if I'm in San Diego and I pull my Resorts World Play Plus card out, I'm going to have Resorts World brand right there in my face, right there as I'm stepping into Padres
Well, what's
Stadium.
cool about
So-
that is I don't know if you guys have had like custom cards or whatever. So it used to have a Raiders card. It was just a regular Visa, but it had the Raiders on it. I would pay here in Vegas. I mean, this is years ago before they came. People go, "Oh, dude, cool credit card." Like when you're going to pay, people go, "Cool credit card." So now I could just imagine like a cashier going, "Oh, you got a Barstool? How'd you get a Barstool credit card or debit card, or whatever?" And then you go, "I signed up at such and such a sports book, and they sent me the card, right?" So
and they control that. Branding is entirely in their control. We have certain fields that they can't touch.
They
but
can
for the
put
most
the
part,
logo,
the face of the card, they can brand it, stripe it, do whatever colors or branding they want to do on there.
How awesome is that? That's pretty cool.
I want a Max back card.
Well, step 1, say it out loud. Step 2,
do it.
Figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. Talk to Andrew. He's hooking us up.
What in the last 12 years, you said you've been in payment processing and like gaming payment processing. What's the biggest noticeable change that you've seen technology-wise outside of cashless? I mean, what's the biggest change you've seen in cash payments, and what are you excited about in the future? Yeah.
So I think a big, I already reinforced that you don't need the physical card. Increasingly, right. I mean, the card is literally just an access device. You don't need a physical plastic. So it's the explosion of acceptance, like things like Apple Pay, et cetera. Yeah. The way that's being woven into your e-commerce experience, where you can, with one click, say pay with Apple Pay, and it's got your address and your payment information already in there and all done. Those are focused on the consumer and the user experience for the consumer. And I've tried to say in a lot of the conversations with the casinos, we're not selling a product, and cashless isn't a destination where you just buy this and you're done.
Right.
I want them to start thinking about how payments are woven into every part of the entertainment experience across the entire property, and how to make it frictionless, how to make it smooth, how to make it like the way I pay for everything everywhere else in the world, so that now becomes an ongoing way that marketing's thinking of it, technology is thinking of it, non-gaming is thinking of it, slots are thinking of it, etc.
I'm most excited just as a player myself, right? I say I get a player card, and I go to Resorts World and I play. Obviously, that's a bad example now because they're going to have this new system, right? Say I go to Circa and I put my card in, I get my points. But for me, they might send me a mailer or something that I got to look through my mail and decide whether or not I want to use that offer. That's really the end of that, customer touch. I have to.
Now all your promotions be in the app is what you're thinking.
It's completely different how you can connect to your player and give them this like entertainment value, or really reach out to them and be an I don't know, like an arm to them. I mean, I would have to physically go down to Circa, go to the host desk and say, "Hey,
to get your offers.
I'm Landon.
Here's my
what do you have for me today?" And they're like, "Well, you're an idiot."
Well, I can't tell you how many times. Well, regardless of you being an idiot, but like for me, how many times I get back from a trip and it's, I had an offer, but I missed it because I was traveling, I didn't see it. So like, it's gonna be cool, like in the app to say, "Hey, you're doing all this activity." Boom, here you go, and it just sits right there in the mobile. Yeah.
It's cool.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, so we've been teasing this idea. So it sounds like, Resorts World's going live.
Yeah.
What are they taking the full suite? Like, what are they going to have on the floor? Like, is it everything we've just described is applicable there?
It is, and Resorts World just as an overall. Cash isn't going away. You can still play and experience the entire resort with cash.
So bring
if you
cash
want.
to the opening too.
But not only is it exciting to be the first one on the Strip in 10 years, which is just off the charts by itself, but this is going to be a property where you could walk in and have a cashless experience from start to finish across every touch point within the resort.
That's crazy.
And how long does it take? So now you got me thinking. So now I'm like envisioning myself going to this Resorts World. So you walk in, I'm going, I forgot my cash, don't want to deal with the ATM, I want to sign up for this.
Yeah.
What's my expected, like, how long from when I say, "Hi, how are you?" Assuming I fill out the form like a regular person, it doesn't take me forever.
Yeah.
What's is it 20 minutes and I'm loaded, or is it 5 minutes?
It's probably less than that.
Yeah,
I would
really?
put it in the 5-minute range. It's as fast as you can enter either on a kiosk or on the app, just get the information in for the loyalty, the extended information for Play Plus, and then like your own e-commerce experience, putting in your debit card number to fund
it. And they just scan your ID or something?
And then they check confirm your ID on
I was going to ask you, can you do it on your way? Like if you said
you can do all the pre-work, you could do all the pre-work in there, and then for the final step, you would likely have to just do that final step.
Still go verify who you are.
Yeah, because that sounds like a bottleneck, right? You get 20,000 people to go to the opening and everybody wants to sign up, and all of a sudden you're like, well, nobody's gambling because you've got a line out the door because they're getting their apps out. It takes 20 minutes.
And they will have their app live in the market before the opening, so there'll be plenty of opportunity for marketing and promotion. You can pre-sign and then be there for the launch.
Pretty crazy though. Yeah. I'm curious to see how it works.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say, so now I'm in. Is it every machine now? Or how? Like, what's your general percentage of cashless machines?
I think you will have the majority of slots and tables be enabled for cashless. Yeah.
Huge.
So big.
And it's a stunning property. I'm sure you've seen the photos and the specs.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
like another
absolutely gorgeous.
I'm always amazed. So here's how I know it's going to be great. On the outside of the building, one side of the whole building is like an LED.
Yeah.
Like I was driving and I remember seeing an ad for like a DJ. I'm a big DJ guy, so I'm like, whatever, right? Like that's cool. And then I turn 2 seconds. I'm sitting in traffic. I look. I'm like, well, now there's a girl in a bikini. I'm more a fan of that than I am a DJ. So I'm looking at that. Going, what's this ad for, right? And I'm going, wait, the building just changed, right? Because in my mind, the first time I'm like, oh, it's a wrapper, right? How many? They're all wrapped with something. And I'm going, they just did an LED side of a casino.
Yep.
So if that's the outside, I can't wait to see the inside.
Imagine how much that saves them in marketing advertisement costs.
Well, the marketing costs, just the guy that has to paint the new strips up is probably expensive. So now you just new graphic and away you go. So
you're done.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So yeah, it'll be. Have you taken the sneak tour in there?
We have taken a sneak tour.
You have any inside? Like, what's your favorite part of it?
I think you're going to find the entertainment. Well, the pool's fantastic. The entertainment venues are quite special as well.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
That's wild.
Oh man. And then, okay, so we got the full cashless. And is that going to be resort-wide as well? I mean, we're obviously focused on the gaming because we're gamblers, but is there...
Correct.
When you're in there...
It'll cover the non-gaming touch points as well,
right.
which, as you know, for these operators is particularly important. There's the majority of the revenue these days on
more and more,
the strip.
especially here, yeah, I was going to
Exactly.
say. That's pretty fascinating.
It's the opposite for your locals, but that'll still have
It's
applications
crazy to me
there.
we're just getting to this point. I went and played in Tijuana 5 years ago, and the only way I could play was cashless. and now here we are 5 years later in the States, and we're like, we made it.
They got to worry a little bit more about the source of cash down there than we do here, but yeah, no doubt.
You were ahead of your time.
Mexico was ahead of the time.
Well, South Africa's another one. I mean, I remember I was in the year before the World Cup. So I'm going to say I was there 2009. Maybe the Cup was in 10, something like that. And it was the same thing. You get a card. You go, here's my $200. Give me my card. And I just swipe everywhere. And then when you're done, you swipe the card and they give you the money. And it's like, it's been out there, right? I'm assuming it's just maybe hesitancy or, like you said, all the regulations to overcome.
You see that across a lot of the payment space. We were so far ahead early on that a lot of the other late arrivals to
We America?
Yeah,
okay.
So a lot of the later arrivals or people that developed later were able to leapfrog it, where we had such an investment already in place.
Got it.
Think about simple things like chip cards. You've been doing chip and pin in Europe and in the UK for a very, very long time, even on credit cards for fraud control. But we had these millions of point-of-sale equipment deployed across the U.S. So
everybody wins, man. You think about this.
Yeah.
The casino makes more money because they're not spending tons of cash, moving cash, right?
Yeah.
The operator wins because now we don't have to build cash cans and different systems to be able to accept cash on a slot machine, so the COGS go down, right?
Theoretically, or you can
the
use
only one that loses is the bill validator companies. They're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Unless they can pivot to make themselves the receptor of the
They're
transaction, right?
They're going to have to pivot to something.
That's fantastic. That's fascinating.
Well, you touched on loyalty earlier. That's the other thing for the operators. The tremendous, when you improve the entertainment experience for the consumer, loyalty increases and revenue comes with it.
Everyone wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
the touch
fascinating.
points, everything, and just a cleaner, smoother processing. I think the biggest part of that is truly the responsible gaming part because, and again, we talk about it all the time, we owe it to the industry to be responsible because it's the longevity of our careers and of the industry altogether. So I'm pretty excited to see how that goes.
That's a critical part of both our DNA
Yeah.
as well as everything we do has a touch of responsible gaming layered into it. So.
All right, so this all sounds well and good. Couple educated guys like us go in
However.
expecting it. Well, no, I'm not. It's not. However, I think it's great. But my question's going to be: so let's say I don't know this is coming, right? We got the inside baseball. We're going. Hey, we got to talk to Andrew. We know we're going to pre-sign up. We're all good. How do you advertise it to just your regular? Like my parents are just going to walk in and check it out. Like, is there is it on property
Put it on the
signage? Is there a
billboard.
campaign? I guess.
They
but
got a whole-
But how are you getting the word out, I guess?
Yeah, I
is
think
my
you
question.
so there's a couple layers to this. You start with your communications, your early communication to any of your loyalty customers. And that's why I go back to that's your likely adopters, are the VIPs, are the regular users of the property. So you start with them and leverage every single marketing angle you have with them, and then it's promotion and support on property. So with Resorts World, our team will be embedded with the loyalty team. So as they're going through and doing loyalty sign up with new patrons, we'll be doing the Play Plus sign-ups and guiding them along the way as well. So and beyond that, it's got to be very crystal clear, very easy communication of what it is and how to sign up when you're on property. And we play a big role on that too. We've been staffing up over the last year or so with the marketing teams on our side to help each of these operators bring it alive within their unique marketing plan and marketing system as well.
Did we advertise where we can sign up? Is there like a
Well, it'll be the Resorts
URL
World
or-
app, I'm assuming.
We do it through the Resorts World app.
And then let's just tip the news. So you mentioned the app, everything's so critical on mobile. So you guys just said, let's just go buy the company that
That's
makes
it.
the app, right? So
Yeah.
just announced a Join Go purchase.
Absolutely. We're absolutely super excited to pick up the team at JoinGo and the technology that they bring. This ultimately, you're talking about how to make it work with the patron. This ultimately comes alive through the mobile app. You have to have heavily focused on the UI, UX. It's got to be a seamless experience embedded in that. So we recognize the critical role that stage plays in the success of Cashless overall. So we're pleased to add to pick. We've acquired JoinGo.
Yeah,
I'll just spit it out.
There you go.
I'm not
That was
used
a great segue.
I'm
That
not
was
used
a
to
great
saying
purchase.
it. Yes, exactly right.
Got to do it. Yeah, well done. I don't know how much it costs, but money well spent, I'm guessing.
We've
so.
acquired the team
All
and the
good.
wonderful technology that they have. They're already embedded in a number of casinos today. They
Yeah.
are the app supplier and the Resorts World delivery. So a critical part of our vertical integration to say that is key to Cashless and our success. So let's make it part of our portfolio and the way we go to market.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's fascinating. So congrats to the folks at JoinGo and you guys for that. That partnership will be good. JoinGo's been around for a long time, man. They're probably been doing this 10 years or so. Like they were mobile early. I remember so I started Bally, right? We were doing Bally Mobile. It was us. It was us two going in to every meeting. Like you're going to pick one usually. So
It's crazy to see this whole ecosystem, right? And even when you start looking at sports betting and iGaming, and now you've got the Cashless and how all of these little wallets are going to integrate.
Yeah.
And it's wild to see because not everybody wants to play in the same sandbox.
Right.
And so at some point, you're just going to have to put your big boy pants on and play in the same sandbox, or you're not going to go to recess or something. I don't know.
I wear my big boy pants every day.
Oh, do you?
That's it. That's
great.
the only pants that fit.
You have the biggest
Yeah,
pants
that's it.
out of anyone
in the
I
room.
know.
How to do it. How do you do?
6'7".
And
So-
JoinGo made sense for us too that's a layer which it made sense for us to acquire. Many of the other layers, to
Yep.
your point, are it's critical to have good partnerships and a strong integration in
100%.
place. So we've
Yeah.
already done integration across all the CMS providers. We're already integrated with Table Solutions. Table through Genesis will be part of the, no commercials,
Yeah, no,
right?
it's
No
okay.
branded
That's fine.
commercials.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
And integrated with all of the digital platforms as
Right.
well. So we're live we've got 70 programs in 39 states now, over
Wow.
a million and a half card
Holy
holders.
cow.
And we're driving about $5 billion a year in processing
play,
and some
yeah.
forth
And we're just
through our
getting
platform,
started.
and we're just getting started.
Yeah, that's
so that existing integration to all these digital platforms means when the brick and mortar side wakes up, we say we're already integrated to your digital platform, and we can be that hub, that single account that connects and stitches together all of these channels and verticals.
Yeah. So other than just expanding into more properties and more markets, like is there technologically, what's next? I mean, it sounds like you got most of this covered. Mobile's covered, all the non-resort, or the gaming, non-gaming amenities. Like what do you see in 3 years? How much more cool stuff will we have?
So heavily focused on making sure, now the majority of players we're seeing across the portfolio are still using their credit or debit cards.
Got it.
They're defaulting to the way they do e-commerce in general.
Sure.
So the vast
It feels
majority do
safer.
that.
It's conditioning, man.
Well,
it's what you're
we
used
gotta
to.
Work. Yeah, we
Well,
got
for me, like I never use a debit card on anything
Right.
other than ATM transaction because if
Yeah.
it gets hacked, that's on me usually. Whereas if my Visa gets hacked, I go, "Yo, I didn't buy these 20 weird things," and they just go, "Yeah, cool. Here's your money back. Sign this paper." So
Why
it
does it have
seems
to be a weird thing?
usually the guys that steal your credit. Okay, so random
I bought
story.
500 beach balls. And
I think a guy stole my credit card, was funding like an Asian food restaurant because there was like an LA charge for like $600. I'm like, I look up a store. I'm like, it's all like these really
food truck.
specific like types of food. I'm like, I've never even known what those were, right? So that's why I say weird things. But anyway, okay,
Well,
so
actually, so you hit on another point too, which you didn't touch on, is security.
Yeah,
so
sure.
you think about a property, and you think about somebody that's going to cash in their winnings and is going to walk out of there with $5,000 in cash. All right. In our scenario, that's all now in a bank account, FDIC insured, and if your card or whatever is lost or stolen, you're not on the hook for fraudulent
Wow.
transactions. So
no
great
more people
consumer,
getting beat up in the parking lot. for their-
great consumer protection throughout it all as well.
that's good. I would like to know. Yes, I agree. It's helpful. It's great security. I'm a fan. I like that. I do wonder when the last time somebody got popped in the garage for winning a jackpot is.
Happens a lot.
Really?
Actually.
I don't know. I'm not an operator. I
Nobody's
couldn't
coming
tell
up
you.
to Mike McKiskey to steal his $100.
Fair
His pie or
enough.
1,000,
Maybe they
whatever
should. I wouldn't be
that
ready
is.
for it. I'd be like, what the hell? Where'd you come from? Yeah. But I guess, yeah, it's a fascinating point. I don't want to discount it, but at the same time, it's interesting.
Fortunately.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
Well, we are getting close to the end. we always like to ask, I mean, have we missed anything that you wanted to talk about on the podcast? I mean, it's super cool tech that you guys are working on.
Yeah.
I know there's millions.
There's a million ways to go. It's such exciting time.
One other question I had. So it does seem like, so as we push forward with online gaming, online casino, payments feels like it's tied to that, right? Because a lot of times it feels like the hesitancy would be, well, how are they going to pay for it? I don't trust the payment method. I trust that the casino's regulated, right? Like in Michigan now, you pull out Barstool. But now it's like, well, the payments are starting to be trusted. So do you feel like the payment, your messaging and the trust you're developing will ultimately fuel the push towards online gaming and online casino?
I think it ultimately supports that. And more importantly, payments is often the last things people think about. They think about their platform and their app and their odds and whatever they're offering to the market. You could have the best of all of that in the world, and you might have the best marketing and get a player on board. But if you can't fund the account, or if it's hard to fund the account, you're dead in the water. So payments is absolutely critical. I mean, it's self-serving, but I like to say it's the lifeblood of the industry. You have to move money into these.
If you don't have money, you don't have much.
And not only do you have to move money in, throughout the research in the mobile sportsbook place, it's equally important how you can get money out. So looking at solutions like being able to push funds out via a debit card. So Visa and MasterCard have solutions right now, real-time push through the debit card network as well. So I can put money in a checking account within a matter of seconds. And so if a player knows, to your point, if I know it's safe and secure, I know where my money is, and I know I can get it at a moment's notice, then I'm going to be a lot more comfortable with that platform, and it actually drives my buying decisions.
It's like Venmo. I mean, I got money just sitting in my Venmo that people pay me because I know it'll be there.
I always forget sometimes too, but it's crazy, the conditioning. Again, we go back to conditioning the player. You want it to be normal to them, and really, you guys kind of have fallen in the perfect time. To be able to recondition the player and how they deal with cash. And money on the floor.
I don't know Kirk well. I met him a few times. The founder, one of the co-founders of Sightline. I'm sure he's going to go, yeah. We've fallen in at 10-year overnight success, right? Like it's one of those. They've been doing it forever, and now it just.
I mean, on the launch
it just
part,
seems
right?
as if it's.
People are more comfortable with technology now because they've all been sitting at their house on their phones because they haven't, right?
Yeah, for fact. Yeah.
I mean, even
it probably just accelerates, right, for you guys. The more people trust their devices, the more they're likely to trust them.
Well, and again, the conditioning, you're exactly right on that front. The irony is we're conditioning them to do gaming the way they do the rest of their life. So it's not like we're not teaching them something new. We're letting them do their natural behavior in the gaming environment as well, to do it within the space,
Well, we appreciate you coming on, and in the spirit of gambling, we like to ask everyone to share a gambling story with us. It could be even one that you know of someone else. I mean, we've had all types of gambling stories. We've had stock stories.
No rules. It's up to you.
No rules. It's really up to you.
What comes to mind? Fun
so I might
stuff.
skip the one where I came home at 3 o'clock in the morning after spending 8 hours in the high rollers room playing.
No, I want to hear
that.
That's a great story. Why would you skip that one? That's what I want to hear.
Even better. Going back to even better. Just going back to dealing with the regulators, et cetera. One of my favorite conversations with regulators, someone who will remain nameless, in the state of California. We had a conversation around how the market's evolving and sports betting moving forward. And he proceeded to show us and tell us how he was confused because he's already doing mobile sports betting, and he showed us the website on which he was doing it. And it was, sir, I hate to tell you, but
this isn't legal.
You just violated a few state laws and a couple of federal laws in the process. But that's right. Good for you.
What did he say when you told him that?
He first didn't believe, but then we got a very subtle communication later on saying, thanks for flagging me.
Thanks for the heads up for me not.
But for him, on a positive note, it did say, kind of reinforced why this education needs to happen. So there's a lot of assumptions and a lot of things going on out there. So
if you're running a sports betting app, you should double check and make sure you're above board here.
You need a gaming license? I'm running a casino in my basement right now.
Whoopsie daisy.
My buddy says it's great. He drives offshore 10 miles every day. No big deal. He's got us covered. Man. So what a story. I can only imagine. He's a regulator. He doesn't even know. Okay, so the other thing we always ask for is the max bet challenge. So we basically say, look, we met you through other people. Jonathan, right, said, hey, you should talk to Andrew, and here we are. So who should we talk to in your opinion? Like, who would you like to call out, so to speak, or who would you recommend maybe we interview? And
I think it's a perfect time, given her new role and given what's happening in the great state of Connecticut. I would like to call out Miss Anika Howard, a good old friend and a rock star in the industry, who's going to lead Foxwoods' digital efforts, and I think that would be a great perspective to bring to the table here.
Anika would be great. Yeah, that's cool. Foxwoods. I mean, Foxwoods always been they've been big. Like they were doing online. They had a lot of interactive early days. So I'm sure whatever they're doing next.
And it's exciting times in Connecticut.
The Mohegan Sun Foxwood battle is still
That's it.
alive.
Yeah, well, there's only 2 tribes pulling all that money out of that market, so
Yeah.
of course it's a battle. They got some wild tribal stories, which we can get into another time, but
Yeah.
that's cool. Well, Andrew,
stuff.
appreciate you coming
Hey,
on, man.
thank
It's
you.
great
Thank
to,
you both for having
great
me.
to chat with you. Yeah,
Appreciate
you
it.
coming by.
And
And that's it,
bet,
man.
baby.
Cheers.
Cheers.